There we go. Welcome everybody to this month's edition, this year's edition. It is May 2024, and this is Cloudy County. This is our land grant themed community. Joe and I have spent a lot of our lives supporting land grant extension, research, and teaching. And yeah, we love to teach others, and so we're modeling what we do after what you do in land grant. We are extending knowledge to you so that you can take it and hopefully save some time in your life. That's always our objective, is to make things here. We do spend a lot of our time talking about the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. And that's because we have been described before as Microsoft fanatics, Joe, haven't we? Uh,
I
so much so
accept
that
that challenge.
yeah, I really embraced it so much that I just went and got a job there. So I am a cloud solution architect, and Joe, you're something cool too, right?
Yeah, I'm systems administrator and a Microsoft MVP for M365 World of Things.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, I'm also real quick. I'm excited to see next week going to be at the National Extension Technology Conference.
Woo!
So that's going to be nice up in State College,
Two
Pennsylvania.
presentations I heard.
I do have two presentations, so at some
Do
point
you?
I need to get some sleep and finish those up. But yeah, I'm excited
Yeah.
to present those and just to be back with that group. It's always fun to learn how other schools are doing things, share what we're doing to help extension out.
That was definitely one of my favorite events to attend. I was honored that they one of the hotels for it was a Hyatt. I thought that was pretty cool that they would do that for me. Not really. And I unfortunately will not be able to go because I'm going to be on vacation. It just lined up that my kids' birthdays. I got one in April and one in May. Usually we combine them. It's more efficient to do that, and we take them on a little. We're going to be out next week on vacation, but I'm sure you'll do great. I'm excited to hear about how it goes. Hopefully, there's some chatter recordings, something that I can pick up on after the event concludes. So excited for you,
Thanks.
and I'm jealous too. Just want to say. Enough banter. We actually have stuff to talk about this month. We have a lot of news, like what's new stuff. So Joe typically goes through. This is the Joe show, just so everybody knows. The May Cloudy County is all about Joe. He's got a lot of things that are new, and then he has a really cool demo that I have used personally in my professional life to demo to other people just because of how cool and practical and useful it is. And that was actually the title of this month's meeting topic, was AI chatbots. He has a little mock-up of a bot that you can ask questions. I included a screenshot in the notification I sent yesterday that you can kind of see how that would be useful and what could it do for you. So he's going to show that off. But I think we got a whole lot of news of stuff that's changing and stuff that's new that we're going to talk about first.
Great. Thanks. Gonna share going here. The first thing we're going to dive into, I'm curious, maybe a show of hands, or is anyone using the new Outlook? Anyone chosen to try that out? Um, dive into that product. We got a few there going. Great. I've been using it since its first launch, since very early days. Definitely struggled with some things for quite a while, um, especially around things like calendar invites. Was a struggle that they solved a number of months ago, but they continue to making improvements here. We'll see. I think we see some new things arriving in the new Outlook. Maybe aren't going to end up in the classic Outlook, which is still going to be around for quite a number of years, right? Right, Dwayne? So I mean, the life cycle for that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you said maybe out to another 5 years or so.
Yeah, I'll get the blog post for you, but the supportability of Outlook Classic, the blog said through 2029. That's a long time. However, I do want to say supportability doesn't necessarily equal bleeding edge features when they come out. You are going to see things mainly around Copilot and AI right now that come to new Outlook first or only. So I see one on Joe's screen right now, actually. so that there are some Copilot functionality, is some Copilot functionality that's only available in New Outlook and not available in Classic. So just keep that in mind. Just because supported doesn't mean it will always have all the new hotness features.
But I'm going to dive into a couple of things that have come in there right now that we have access to. I'm going to go into my calendar. Probably a lot of us encounter people who are maybe have a hybrid schedule, work a couple days in the office, work some days out of the office, or maybe just some people work either way, but you're in a team or a group of people, or there's a department-wide or maybe a county-wide group of people, and you're really working hybrid. Microsoft's introduced a little bit of an easier way to kind of help people determine where they need to be for certain events. So I'm putting something on my calendar. I can easily make this a Teams meeting. But in this case, what I want to really emphasize is this is an in-person event. And I can tag this event. It's in person. It's going to automatically help us, people who get added to this. Let's just say this a monthly meeting for a county. Maybe you would really like people to be in person. This will help emphasize the fact where you want people to show up. Too easy to, everything's online nowadays. Everything's online. Meetings are online. This really helps you to remember, wait, this one, I need to end up going somewhere. Next thing we can do is shared calendars. Well, a lot of us have business processes around a shared calendar. Perhaps you've got a shared mailbox for your county extension office, and you take incoming mail questions maybe to that mailbox. But there's a calendar associated in there too. Sometimes maybe you're using that for events at the county office. What you can do is, if you are someone who has access to that calendar, access to that calendar or that shared mailbox, we go into settings, go to our calendar. Under shared calendars, we've got an option here to now get email notifications when there's an event that goes on that shared calendar. So something doesn't get lost. It's shared. It's a calendar. It's hard to maybe pay attention to even your own calendar, and you've got this other one to pay attention to. Now you can get some event notifications when things are happening on that shared calendar. You can bring that to life there for you. Dwayne just brings up something here while we're here, is something that is really helpful. That was a pain early on. Is I've got an option here to bring up my calendar and my to-do lists built right into one of the side panes here, side panels. And if I do have something that, like, I need to turn this into an event, I need to turn this into a meeting, some email that comes through says, hey, we should get together, something like that. I can come in here and I can drag an item onto this box here, and I can decide two things. I can add it as a task, or I could add it as an event. So if I drop it onto add that as an event, that'll generate, get a meeting going. Again, it's going to default Teams meetings. Now, one thing to be aware of is sometimes maybe everybody on that list, on that email, aren't the people you want actually in the meeting. Just double check and come in here and decide exactly who you want to have for that. Sometimes I put things in my calendar just for me to remember, and I usually try to remember to not invite everybody to the things that I have to remember. I'm just reminding myself.
Thing.
Do what?
So that's a really, really important thing to point out.
Yeah.
That it will automatically try to invite a bunch of people from the email
Yeah.
to the appointment. So if you're gonna, people use that in Outlook Classic. I know the people on the recording can't see the chat, but there was some conversation in the chat around like, oh, I really like the ability to turn an email into something on my calendar to remind me to do it. Microsoft To Do is a great task list. It's a great way to keep up with a list of things to do. It's called To Do. But sometimes people are in the flow of like, oh, I want to do this thing tomorrow at 3 p.m. And it's going to take me an hour. And maybe you use one of our favorite programs, Microsoft Bookings. And Microsoft Bookings reads your calendar to decide if you're available or not. And so I am very diligent about marking off time on my calendar because I have people that will take it using bookings if I don't. So doing it this way is also a great way to signal to your coworkers like I'm busy right now. Like when you look at them on Teams and they're red and says busy or in a meeting, this is how you can kind of help make that happen.
Yeah, that's a great point. Is blocking out that time, setting time aside for yourself to complete some task and some project. Next thing we're going to cover is some work around Microsoft Stream and its integrations into SharePoint. There was this calendar year, very recently, the final steps to migrating from Stream Classic to Stream 2.0, where all of our Teams recordings, Streams recordings all go into SharePoint or your OneDrive. Perhaps your university has gone through a migration event. They could have done it up, perhaps a year ago. But if it's very recent, then waited till the end. This is something that might be something that happened recently for you all. And there's been some advances in the Stream web part that you could bring into a SharePoint page. I'm going to jump into SharePoint. If you like to use SharePoint, especially attached to a team, to bring forward content that, I don't know, in a team where you get a bunch of tabs and there's just a bunch of tabs, a bunch of information that's needed and necessary, and people bring it in as a tab, but you end up getting just 10 tabs in a channel. One thing we like to think about is instead bring that into create a SharePoint page in the SharePoint site that's attached to your team. So I'm in Cloudy County Extension. This is the team y'all are a member of. And I've opened up the SharePoint site for that. And I can come into this pages library and I can start building web pages, SharePoint pages. These would be sort of considered like an intranet page. You have to authenticate to get to these pages right now. But I can come in here. I'm going to create a new site page. Give this a title. And I'm going to just bring in our Stream web part. And the very first thing this is going to do is just look for videos that are in the team, that are part of this team. So these are some recordings that have been saved into this team. I've got this web part here. It's currently in what's called theater mode. It's got 3 items along the bottom. I could move between other videos that are in here. And it's got a big player area. I can come into this web part. I can edit this web part, a little pencil icon here. Then I can choose some other options here. There's a grid view. I can decide to show certain number of videos on here. Maybe we go to, let's see if we go to 3 rows. Go back to theater mode. And make these are real. This is really easy to make. It looks great. I can also decide where do I want to get these videos from. So I can get all videos on this video site. I could pick a particular folder in a document library, or I could just bring in a single video if I wanted to really highlight something specific on this page. But I'm just going to leave it as all the videos on this site. I'm going to publish this. What's I think is really nice about this viewer, this web page viewer here, is I can kind of cycle through what's available to me. And when I choose one down here, the bottom, it's going to show it at the top and play it right in line. So I'm not jumping out into a different web page, another tab. It's all happening right inside of here. And this is the full fidelity of stream. I can turn on closed captioning. I can change the speed if I want, show some notes, bring up the transcript, all in line right on this page. And what's great is I could bring this in as a tab into a team, and make it really easy to kind of see all the videos that you've been recording. Maybe you've got a weekly or monthly channel meeting that you've got going on in a team, and all your recordings are automatically being saved into that team. It's really easy to kind of put an interface into those recordings.
Yeah, this is a big deal. I cannot. I think everyone could probably connect with a sentence like this. You know, you have a meeting, somebody didn't make it, and then they say, "Hey, where's the recording at? Can you send me a link to the recording? Can you make sure you share the recording with everybody?" And if you're using some product that doesn't record to M365 automatically, you probably got to go download it and then upload it somewhere. In Teams, if you schedule what we call a channel meeting, it dumps the recording in the Teams channel. So the recordings are all in the same place automatically. You don't even have to think about it. They just go right to the recordings folder. And then this page that Joe created, you set the filter on it and you say, "Hey, I only want you to show me video files that exist in the meetings channel recordings folder." And it's like that rotisserie from way back in the day. You set it and forget it. You're done. You configure this thing to look in that folder. I like the theater view a lot because it keeps the most recent video like prominently displayed right there at the top in the middle. So the most recent meeting that they missed, they boom right there in the front and center. But if they want to play one from a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, it's right there at the bottom. They just click that one. And this page is automatic. You do this one time. And as long as you're meeting, like in Joe's screen there, we've got a channel called community calls. And inside of that channel is that folder called recordings. And you just click on it and you're done. Can you get file? Yeah, files, and there should be recordings. There you go. And so if we had our meetings taking place inside of that Teams channel, our recording workflow would never ever need to change or no more work for us basically. Yeah, and I know there's no shortage of committees and department meetings and subcommittees and stuff like that in EDU, so I know you all kind of understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, I think this is a really nice way to just keep everything nice and tidy and organized. I
Yeah,
love channel
definitely
meetings.
one less step to have to remember to go do something with that recording. I don't have to download it, upload it someplace else, have it recreate a transcript or something like that. You can just leave it where it is and present it. Like I did here, that page, I brought it in as a tab. And this is using the new web part. So we're going to keep going in SharePoint here. I'm going to jump back into Pages, Page Library. And another thing that's new, let's say I've got a basic SharePoint page here that was built on a template document, is I can now share pages. So just like in SharePoint, we can share a document, we could share a folder of documents, and now share these individual pages. So I can, I've got a nice share little option here. I've got share page, I can send it in an email. And these are going to be just your standard typical sharing options that you've got for files and things like that set up in your SharePoint site. If you've got a nice intranet site running, that maybe you've got a document that is talking about like, this is how we, in my county, this is how we onboard employees. And you've got your document written up here. You could perhaps share this page out to people who aren't a member of your team. Now, again, this page is living in a SharePoint site that belongs to a team. So everybody in the team can get to this page, no problem. But maybe there's something that maybe there's another county that's like, we need a better plan on how to onboard our new staff. Do you have something? Well, we've got this page. This is where we post all of our information. You could share out that page to that person or that group of people, and they could kind of use that and start looking at it and take it and start using that information to develop their own. One caveat here is the information on this page, like the text and stuff, is going to be easily shared. If you've brought an image in, like these images are going to be displayed properly for the person you share it with. But if you've embedded a document or embedded a document library or you're embedding something on here, that won't get shared. So it's got a little particular use case right now for it. But like I described, and there's some scenarios I can see where that becomes helpful.
I think it's helpful to think about the SharePoint page as if you were sharing a file. Right. I mean, that's more or less what you're doing. You're sharing a file in just it's the same sharing UI, the same menu that you would see for when you share a document out of your OneDrive. You can decide if they can edit, you can decide if it's with a group, those types of things. But SharePoint pages are a great way to collect lots of information and put it all on one really nice canvas. And Joe used the word intranet, and sometimes that, no offense, Joe, but sometimes that can be a scary word because people might think like, oh, I got to build this whole like magnificent intranet. A single page is a great place to just start and put some information on it. Explore those web parts, like he just showed you the stream web part, which is a great way to collect videos. But having different kinds of information, and he's in the design right now. This is the design. You don't need to be a web developer to build a really beautiful looking SharePoint page. It's very clicky. What you see is what you get kind of designer, and creating a list of hyperlinks that you can maintain and keep up to date, sharing this page, collaborating on this page with other people like it's a file, embedding some YouTube videos, those kinds of things you can do with this and make a really nice document almost that's not like a boring Word document, or a OneNote page. Not trash talking OneNote and Word, but I'm just saying, like, this is a great way to make a collection of resources that would be useful. One thing that Joe and I have done a lot of is tabs inside of Teams. Sometimes you get too many tabs. Let's be honest. Like if you got a lot of things that you want to tab into the top of the general channel in Teams, 5, 10 tabs, that's just too many. They start to fall off the edge of the screen. They start to float away. Well, one of the things that you can do is you can tab in a SharePoint page and put all the information that you want people to have just on the SharePoint page. So you have one tab to rule them all, right? And boom, there they go. There's all the stuff that you want them to have access to. So if you haven't played with SharePoint pages, you get a SharePoint site with every team you make. So you all got lots of SharePoint sites. You're just 1 or 2 clicks away from making a page with lots of nice information on it. Yeah, Joe's already designed. You got the weather. It's 93. It's terrible. Hot in my office right now. Thanks for reminding me, Joe. Sorry,
There's
I
this
didn't
real
mean
quick.
to. I didn't mean to derail you there.
No, it's
But
90. Yeah,
yeah.
I went for a run a little too late this morning. So yeah, I experienced that heat.
Running?
But,
Were you like afraid of something? Running from somebody? Like what were you doing?
yeah, it was really easy to make some quick links here to things that are important to people. Again, like Dwayne said, you get too many tabs, put it all onto a SharePoint page. One tab to go. Much easier there. Last thing inside of SharePoint I want to talk about that's really helpful to those of us who aren't Photoshop wizards, I'm going to just do a new page here. There's some advances around bringing in and managing images and working with images. So demo, I'm going to bring in image, find some recent images here. Image here, I've got the ability to add a text overlay if I want to, right on top of this image. I can resize it. I can crop it, change some scales around it. Those have been there, but we've got this advanced option now. Some of those tools are still in there. It's pretty big. Let's resize this. Like that. I can come in here and touch up some highlights and shadows, adjustments, filters in here now. Who doesn't love a filter? I like, let's go with vintage. That looks pretty nice there. So those are all built right in now. So you don't need to be a graphic designer to do some of these operations that really kind of give life to these. I can save that. It's not editing the original, just editing what I put up there on the page. Just like that. I've even got some other interesting things. We can maybe you want that to be a circle, hexagons. We got different frames we can do on those things. So again, this is like I said, Dwayne is using the word intranet, but really it's just a place that is really easy for you to put up information. This isn't inside your network. You got to be authenticated to it. You know, a lot of us probably have branding standards for our public facing sites and things like that. Maybe you need to go through a lot of checks and approvals. This is something quick. Put your information up. With a little bit of work, you can still make something that looks great.
Yeah, and this is not a, like you said Photoshop earlier. Like, this is not like, hey, this is the really latest and greatest photo editor from SharePoint. That's not what it's for. It's to keep you in the flow of work. If you just uploaded an image to your SharePoint site and you're like, oh, I really need to tweak this a little bit, you might be able to tweak it right in the page itself and get the result that you want. And if you think about the alternative workflow, you'd have to get the original image, open it up in Photoshop or
Get a license.
Paint or whatever it is that you use, edit it, upload a new copy of it over top of the old one. There'd be a lot more steps than just click on the image and click crop or add text or whatever, make it a shape. That's the idea here, is to just make designing these things easy. And I think, obviously I'm biased, but I think they're doing a great job of making it very easy. Just click a few buttons and you have a really nice looking page.
They do a really good job of just, again, you don't have to change and get out of your flow of work. You're doing it right inside the app that you're going to actually, your final product. You can stay right inside there. Next thing I'm going to call out is an update to some templates, particularly around because for me, I've encountered another number of faculty that like to use mind maps. And we've always, at this point, gone to some third-party tools out there. We've had some get blocked through risk for certain reasons and things like that. So Microsoft has brought on now a mind mapping tool that's in Visio for the web. And it is not in the free version. So if you've got a A3, A5, you've got Visio for Microsoft 365. Now, you've got Visio in the web. You've got a number of basic templates, basic charts and designs. There's really a lot there in that version of Visio before you go into Visio Plan 1 or Plan 2. Plan 1 and Plan 2 are in the $1 to $2 a month range, what I've seen academically. Pretty inexpensive, and it helps keep your data and what you're doing inside the Microsoft ecosystem, which might save some headaches too. But if you've got a Visio Plan 1 license now, and I just go open up Visio, got all templates, and now we've got an option here for mind map. So you're looking at this is a Plan 1 license. There's probably a number of extra templates that are lit up here that you might not normally see, but I'm just going to explore some mind maps. Here's some examples they're going to give you. Pick one of these. Dive in and see what this looks like. So that's what a typical mind map looks like. How how you want to take advantage of this. It's quick to add a new node and start updating some of this. Easy to do. So just one little thing there. Again, it is you need a plan 1 or a plan 2 for that. But if you got people really loving their mind maps, now maybe they can just, that might be an easy purchase. Take care of that.
And you said security review earlier, so I want to kind of like, my ears perked up. I want to jump on that for a second. When you go try to buy software, typically your security department wants to know what you're buying. They want to know who is this company? What are their security guarantees and controls? What are you agreeing to when you scroll through the end user licensing agreement that probably nobody ever actually reads? What is all that there? This option that Joe's showing is built into Microsoft 365, which is probably already something that the school has in place, right? You're all on a Teams call right now, so I would say, yeah. And Visio has always been an add-on. There are two things, I'm sure there's more than two, but Visio and Microsoft Project have always been add-ons to Office. So this isn't a new like premium thing or anything like that. But I don't know the EDU pricing, probably shouldn't say that out loud, but I don't know exactly what it is, but it's relatively inexpensive, Joe, right? Like it's,
like I said, it's $1, $2 a month.
Yeah.
For these
So,
plans. So it's, yeah.
So adding that to your existing subscription means you don't have to go sign up for anything new. You don't have to download anything new, especially with the web version of Visio. You just hit the same office.com you do for anything else, and Visio's there. So as far as like friction goes, this is really low friction, basically built in.
And I definitely take advantage of using Visio to produce risk diagrams for those kind of products that I have to go get risk assessed. So next we're going to look at, let's dive into Teams. We got a few things inside of Teams itself. Go into a demo team here. Something that's new, that if you have been running Teams for a while and maybe you got started really early, you've produced a bunch of channels, and over the years, either they've been project-based, you feel like there's a bunch of information there you don't want to get rid of, but you're not working on those channels anymore. There's a new way to archive a channel. So we can come into, I can pick a channel here, this project. Hey, this project is closed. I don't really need more conversation about it. I don't need to update the content and the files inside of here if I don't want to anymore. I can come into this channel, click on their favorite little 3 dots, meatball menu, and I can now archive this channel. I'm going to get a little pop-up that says, what this is going to do. I can restore it at any time. I can also set all the files that are related to that channel to read only if I want to. Really lock all that information down. Doesn't get lost. It's you can still go into it, view it, search it. I'm going to hit archive. It's going to put that into our list of hidden channels. I'm going to hide it, but I can still access it. Click on it. Click in. Click through. But I'm not going to be able to post any more messages in here. Definitely a way to feel like doing some cleanup. Like if the chat isn't really important anymore for some type of project you're working on, you could delete the chat, delete the channel. The files are going to remain in SharePoint. those don't get deleted when you delete a channel. But maybe the chat was important. Often the concepts around a project and how you made decisions are important. But again, if it's over, you can archive it and move it kind of out of the way. Next thing we're going to talk about is we've now got an option to individually hide the general channel. I could hide this general channel. I think, Dwayne, I think our scenarios is more around different types of teams where it's more of, for us, it's we've been doing a lot of online conferences in teams. We want to have a channel where we can blast information out one way, kind of like an announcement channel, but also maybe a community of practice channel, something like that, where you've got a larger group of people who have come in there, and the first thing you want them to see maybe is a true like announcement channel that is active. So a concept here that we have is, in those two scenarios, this is where I see it mostly useful, is a general channel. You might just put one post in there that just says some instructions on how to use this team even, or, basically the first thing you do when you join this team is hide this channel, hide it away. And there is an announcement channel perhaps inside this team. And that's where you're doing things that are important, like a community practice team. That's where you're announcing like there's some new training material out there or something like that. But I can hide, anyways, I can hide that general channel now. It's just for me. When this, again, it's personal. So not that, I don't know. I don't think it's that useful yet, to be honest. I think until maybe I can hide it for everyone some way. That's all I would say. But this is potentially the first step.
All right, Joe, show us a bot, man. I can't handle it anymore.
All right.
I'm
That's
sitting over here fidgeting, playing with my fidget toy.
I got one item I'll just cover here. Last one,
okay.
real quick, is the ability to add an image for a group chat. We like to use group chats that are kind of like in my area, we've got like everybody on my floor where my office is, we gather for lunch and things like that sometimes. So it's not stuff you need to stick in a team. We got a nice group chat for that. Well, now if you've got a group chat you're using a lot, you can put in an image, upload an image in some way, and set something like that. So just something to have some fun with. So let's dive into this thing called Copilot Studio. The first thing that kind of talk about this is this is really about building out a custom capable of generative GPT world, generative AI capable bot that is based on information and Dwayne, I think the correct word is grounded on information that you want it to really know about. So there's a body of work that is important to you. In this case, it could be a few websites. It could be a bunch of PDFs, a bunch of documents. But you want to be able to ask questions about that corpus of data and get some information, just coming from that information if you really want.
Yeah. Grounding is the right term here. Something like copilot.microsoft.com, just the public Copilot, is quote unquote grounded in the entire internet, like in the web. And so it's not really grounding, it's not specific. But the large language model, you hear the words like GPT 3, 3.5, 4 turbo, like those are large language models that have a specific like state of time. They're trained on everything that was available on publicly up until that moment. And so if you were to ask, Copilot, or let me rephrase this. If you were to use Chat GPT and ask Chat GPT, like, hey, what was the score of last night's basketball game? It's not going to know that because that data wasn't in the large language model. When you use Copilot here and you ask it, like, hey, what was the score of last night's basketball game? It's going to do a Bing search for that information, find that information, and then it's going to take that information and it's going to pass it over to the large language model for that moment and say, hey, large language model, here's all the information about last night's game. Help me formulate a response to the user that includes this to answer their question. Well, Copilot Studio lets you do that, except you can have super like laser focused control over what is the extra information that I want this chatbot to have. He said, document library, documents, website. Let's say you have, I don't know, super complicated purchasing rules, right? That couldn't ever possibly happen in education government, right? And you have, like 57 documents, PDFs of all kinds of different policies that explain how to buy something with your P card at your school. You could make a chat bot and say, here's all these documents that make up our purchasing policy. And then make a bot that somebody says, what's the maximum amount of money I time on my P card? Like they could ask it just like that. To provide an answer because somewhere in all those policies is that
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll
super cool.
I'll walk us
I
through.
skipped ahead of you. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I think maybe we'll get a chance to let's even try that out. So I'm gonna just walk through one of these here that I've got. I'll just start with one just to give you an idea of what it looks like with respect to some of the content that you can do. So I'm going to open up this Copilot here.
Is that called Veggie Bot?
Yes.
Okay.
And this one is, if I go into my generative AI area, this one is built on some PDFs, documents that are, these are documents related to best management practices. So like, I guess I should say like, what is PMP? If I can get a response out of that. And these responses are going to be coming just from these documents. And I've got a little citation here where this is going to be coming from. I click on that. It's going to tell me, okay, there's the PDF that was coming from. That's in my set of documents here. It's very easy to set this up. And we'll go through a demo of how to just get started on something that's really, really basic. There's tons of things you can do with this. You can connect to different Azure OpenAI languages. You can connect to a bunch of third-party sources and bring them in. You can have skills where this bot can email someone if they needed to, or open up a ticket in Salesforce, all built right into this tool. You can do this. I'm going to go back into one of these other ones here. This one is based on just some websites. This one is based on a couple websites that I've got out here, public-facing websites. I could put in like this EDIS site. This is one of our extension sites here. This is where all of our educators, researchers, faculty, extension agents put up all the information that they know about and publish it. There's 6,000, I think, ish, if maybe close to 7,000 documents in here and pages, and all the information that everyone across the extension at my university knows and shared out there. I can click on one of these documents. There's a PDF downloadable. These get reviewed, things like that. So this is a lot of really, really important information. Very valuable.
I want to point out something. There is a search bar there, right? Built right into to EDIS, to the blog site, or both.
Sure.
But this is using what we would probably consider keyword search, which is what we're used to. Like it's what we have been conditioned to do for decades of, using search engines. And Joe and I have talked about this before when we talked about what used to be called Bing Chat Enterprise, and then we showed you Microsoft 365 Copilot. Same kind of deal, except it's integrated into the site. So you can type in a term and say, hey, I want to learn how to, strawberries in Florida or something. Like when you do that, you're looking for keywords that have the highest likelihood of returning results to our pages or sources of information that may contain the answer that you're looking for. So Joe wants to know how to grow strawberries in Florida. That's the keyword that he did. Now he has to go click through these various articles or papers to learn about how to do that. And what we're going to talk about today is building a bot that's using all of those PDFs as its source of information. And then I got a prompt I'll drop in the chat for you here, Joe. This is the prompt. This might look familiar if you read our announcement email that I sent very late. I apologize yesterday. I did a screenshot of this with the bot that Joe is using right now.
So what? Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, so what I'll do is then this has, I've got a little chat bot here. This is cool, but I'm in this interface. I'm kind of stuck in here. What's cool about this is it has the ability to have, they're calling them channels, but these are places that help me publish this bot to certain places. So these are different services that I could publish that to. So Dwayne was saying he tested this. So I've enabled and lit up what's called a demo website. So this has a demo website built into it. I could have a custom website where basically I'm given embed code. I can embed that on a web page, and I've got a bot now on some public facing website that I own. A little bot text area. I've got also a demo site here that I can do. I can bring this up. I have, because it's a demo site, it gives me an option to, it gives you in the demo site the ability to do some customization of this. I can put this, again, this is not something you'd ever put into production. This is just to kind of help you understand how this might look embedded on a web page. So I got some sample prompts I can push into this bot. It will spit out an answer, gives me, again, links to the sources. Let's take what Wayne's question. That's pretty solid response there. It gives me my growing conditions, planning, raising beds, need to worry about irrigation and pests. And it's got a link to that source for me. So
that's really important, that part right there, because that's kind of I won't say a rule, but kind of a pattern of generative AI in Microsoft's product, in Copilot, basically, is if the answer comes from something other than what's already in the large language model, then it will provide a source. It'll cite its source of where it got that information from. That is true for the public Copilot that might use other websites as its source. So in my example I gave earlier of, what was the score of last night's game? It might source ESPN or something like that, or a news site or something like that, and it will show you that. It will give you that. In this case, it cited HS1154 as its source for how to successfully grow strawberries in Florida, and you can go see the actual source of information where it pulled that from.
There is, and there's some content moderation here, basically around that. I want it to really be very relevant to the responses. You have some choices there, how you want that to react. Again, this could integrate with Azure OpenAI, and you can do some fine tunings. There's a lot of ways you could integrate this with other services. So let's go. Oh, and security, you can decide like this one in order to be a internet facing kind of device. I turned off authentication, but you could authenticate with Microsoft account. You could authenticate in different other standards here, OAuth, some checks in who can get into and access these if you wanted to.
You probably
You
don't
can,
want a publicly facing chat bot on how to buy stuff with,
yeah,
a
it's
corporate
not, yeah, that's
card or
more of
something.
an
I don't know.
internet thing,
Yeah.
exactly how to do
Yeah.
that, correct. So you could be able to do that. And you can bring these into like this one, you can bring these into your channels. Could be maybe you just publish this into a team. Everybody's a member of the team, and that bot becomes something that you interact with and chat right in a team.
Yeah. The travel
So,
bot.
yeah,
How do
exactly.
I
Yep.
how do I book a hotel,
Mhm.
or what are the policies around renting cars, or what, anything related to travel?
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely. You might have a lot of universities now have like the concept of a shared service center where there's a group of people that handle all the travel and the finance and procurement of things for everybody in a certain area. Everybody kind of join that team. You can have a bot in there to answer a lot of your questions for that. So let's got a few minutes here real quick. Let's go make one, make a new Copilot. Let's say I want to buy things. So let's do this. I'm going to put in our permit website here. Get that started. See if we can ask this. What was that question around? What are my? We've got purchasing cards here, and there's transaction limits on those that we can deal with. See if we can ask it a question here. We got anything in the chat here? So here we go. So this just got created. It's already got my little chat bot here, my little chat section here set up. I haven't published this. I haven't decided where this should go yet or anything like that. Let's see if it can already start answering some questions about what I might find on that website. And it's working. So that's correct.
Pretty
It's
fast.
giving me a link to the page that came from. If we go to generative AI here, we see that's all I've done. I put in that website to make that happen.
Yeah.
There's a
And
lot of other things to think about to roll out something like this. There's definitely costs
yes.
associated with this and licensing, but the amount of time. I mean, yes, I'm in IT. This is interesting to me. The very, very first time I tried a trial, I literally was under 10 minutes, and I had a public-facing chatbot that was working. Never just dropped in here and walked through the wizard, and it was up and running. There's a lot of other things you can do in here, connecting to ServiceNow and Salesforce. Those are things that are pretty popular across our universities. Definitely something that would be interesting to take advantage
and
of down the
I
road.
want to I want to double down on something. You are controlling the data source, right? So you are, in the case of EDIS that you were showing earlier, that's a publicly facing site. There are some limitations to how far down the structure of the site it can go. So a flatter structure of the website would be better. If you've got like lots of layers deep, you're going to run into some limits there. But you are controlling where this chatbot is getting its information from. And it is not learning, it's not training GPT-4 on that information. In the case of the EDIS example, it might be because that information is already publicly available. Like that's where, or like without sounding like a smart, like where do you think Chat GPT got data from to be trained and to learn. It got it from the public internet, and so in that case, that information is already publicly available. But we are scoping the conversation. We're saying this bot. You don't ask it about last night's basketball game. You ask it about how to grow strawberries in your backyard, because it's very focused and intentional, and it provides a answer engine, an answer service rather than a search service, which is pretty awesome. Good job, Joe. I love this thing. Oh, now you're talking to it in a different language?
Yeah, enabled Spanish on this one too, so
Okay.
it can talk some other languages.
The multilingual chat bot. Very nice.
Very nice.
That's pretty powerful. Yeah, that's very powerful. Thanks,
Thanks,
Nelly.
Nelly.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna kill the recording with that. Awesome demo. Kudos to you for being so daring and trusting to do a live demo like that and build it on the fly and test it. I'm glad everything worked out.
Yeah, that's great.
So, well, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the recording off, and we'll hang out for a few minutes and answer any questions.